Welcome back. This is Donna from Donny Crochets, and today we're going to learn how to make this top. So for this one, we are going to do it in a sample form, and I've just grabbed 3 different scrap yarns that I have as we're just creating a small sample. So what you want to do first is to take the first color of your choice. After taking the first color of your choice, what you want to do is to chain up 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and join this end to this first end to create a ring. Then chain up 2 to act as your first double crochet. Then we're going to work in how many? So we're going to work in 12 double crochets into this circle, where we're going to work 6 double crochets first, then we do a chain 1 and then work in the rest of the 12. So the first chain 2 will act as our first double crochet, then we are going to work 5 more. When you have a total of 6, what you do is a chain 1 and then work in 6 more double crochets. One, two, three, four, 5, then the 6th one. After that, we're going to go into the next row where you're going to chain up 2 and turn your work, and then what you want to do is to go into the very first stitch and add another double crochet, then work into each and every double crochets until you get to the chain 1 space. When you get here, what you want to do is to work 2 double crochets into the chain 1 space, then a chain 1, then add 2 more double crochets, then proceed to work into each and every double crochets up to the end. Then when you get to the end, make sure you work in 2 double crochets in the very last stitch. So we are at the end and this is our last stitch. We just go in there twice. For this 3rd row, I want to show you something you can always do when, let's say, we have started our row as usual, working 2 at the beginning, then just continuing. Then let's say you had skipped this next stitch by mistake. I'll teach you how to fix that on the next row. So just continue and finish up this row, remembering to do 2 double crochets at the chain 1, 2 double crochets, then chain 1, then add 2 more, then continuing with the rest up to the very end and doing 2 more double crochets at the very last stitch. Don't forget that last stitch. we are at the last stitch, you work in 2, and since I want to change colors, what I'll do is start working the double crochet but not finish it at the end, then snip it off at let's say that seems to be about 2 inches. Then I'm going to add this color, this orange. Let me look for, yeah, and I'm just going to tie a knot. There are different ways you can reattach a yarn, but I always feel like this is the most secure for me. Then after doing that, what I want to do is just finish up, then work up 2. If you feel like it's a bit big, it keeps seeping into the next stitch where you just wanted it to be orange. What you can do is cut it off, then tie another knot first. Remove this one. Then this the first old mistake, and snip it off. Then fix it from there. So yeah, that one now has gone in the right way. So now you'll just continue as you are doing in the other rows. I'll weave in my ends as I go. So remembering the first stitch, it's 2 stitches. 2 stitches and then 1 stitch all the way to the mid area, keeping in mind that stitch that we had skipped here. So when we come here, I'll show you what to do. So let's say we were creating a pattern that we're going to be sipping into this previous row. So what you want to do is just grab the yarn as if you want to make a normal double crochet, but instead of going at the top here, at the top V, you're going to go at the bottom. It's like the previous V for the last row, and then you're just going to pull gently like that, and then continue working up, let's say 3 or 2, depending on how you see it fit. I'll be working in 3s. After the 3rd, what I'll do again is to go into the last V for the previous row, pull it up, and then continue working my last one is going to be here. That's the last stitch before we get to the chain 1. Then when you get to the chain 1, you're just going to do 2 as usual. After 2, chain 1, then 2 more. Then what you're going to do is pick up on the previous pattern that you were doing, which would mean you're going to go still in the same area but at the bottom. Then you pull the yarn aside so that you know the stitch that you're going into. That is supposed to represent the first stitch. Then the second stitch, you're going to work in normal double crochets. I'm going to do 3 of them before we do the 3rd pattern. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then we are getting to the area where we had skipped the chain by mistake. So what you want to do is wrap your yarn and then go into that space and then pull it up, and it will cater for that area that we had skipped. So you can decide to use the same yarn, this one, the first color that you are using on this row first, to cover up the space that you had skipped. Then after you go to the next round, that's when you can change the colors. I was just using a different color so that you can see how it covers for the space that was created by mistake. So it's basically a repeat. After you reach the end, you'll continue working on the other rows the way we worked. The first stitch, you go in twice, then one all the way to the midpoint. After getting to the midpoint, you'll work in 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 2 double crochets, chain 1, then 2 double crochets. Then you continue working as usual until you get to the area where you want to change colors. So let me finish up this row first and then I'll show you. So I had skipped a stitch here again so that I can show you how to fix a missed stitch if you're using one solid color or you're just working on other project pieces. So when you get to that area, instead of unraveling your whole work, so what you want to do is to wrap the hook with the yarn, and then now you're going to work into that missed stitch, yeah, and then pull up the yarn to reach the height of your current stitch that you're working, so this height, and then you just continue working in the rest of the stitches. So from here, after I do the last 2 stitches at the end, what I want to do is to add up my final color. So I'll snip it there, and then I'm going to add the red, which is my final color. You can use as many colors as you want. Or you can just use 1 or 2 colors and you can switch up those 2 colors. Ensure the knot you're tying is secure enough. Like so. And then what you want to do is to pull up that last bit and then chain 2, then turn your work, then continue as usual, working 2 stitches at the beginning and end. Then when you get to the chain 1, you work up 2 double crochets, chain 1, then 2 double crochets, and proceed. But when you add a new color and you're using this design that I was using, what you want to do is these first 2 stitches, we're going to count them as 1. So this will be 1, 2, 3. Then on the third here, you're going to use the pattern that I'd showed you, where you're going to work into the previous V of the previous row. So it will be 3, then you work up that pattern. This will work when you're introducing a new color, and you can decide to use any pattern you wish. to introduce a new color, or you can just decide to leave it plain, whichever way you choose. So let me finish up this and then we start working on the border, and I'll show you what I did for the border. Okay, so I've stopped here so that I can work on the border. But so what you want to do, when you know your top is enough to fit you, you will measure this bottom area, and this bottom area you can decide, if you're doing strap at the at the back, you can decide to do half measurement of your waist plus 2 inches. So this area should be that amount, half measurement of your waist or your client's waist plus 2 inches. That's what you need to know. That's how you know your top is big enough to fit you. Then you'll also need to consider if your bust is bigger or smaller, then you'll need to add more stitches at the beginning here. So let's say this is for a size medium. Let's say if you are a size large, you are going to do 18 beginning stitches here. So you will do 9 stitches, chain 1, then 9 stitches, then you'll work up from there. That's what you need to know. So I'm going to use one more different color so that I can show you how I achieved the borderline that you saw at the beginning of the video. So what you want to do, you remember where our chain 1 was? Here. That will act as a guide. So what you want to do is to go into that same chain 1, feed in your yarn. You can decide to use a different yarn, or you can decide to use this last yarn that you are using, but I'm using a different one so that you can see. So after feeding it in, you create a slip knot there. Then what you want to do is to go into the very first stitch and create another slip knot, and then you're going to create a third slip knot. Then from there, what you want to do is to go back. We are creating a foundation. Go back, work another one. You're working in slip knots first, so you're going to create slip knots in each and every stitch that you created. Yeah. From there, what you want to do is work one more row. So the first one, second one, and the third one. Just find the area and go through it. Then what you want to do is, you're seeing this area, the last area that you created when you're doing the first slip knots row, this one here. What you want to do, create a V. Yeah. Then chain 2, create another V, place it down, compare it, then you can see it's still not yet flat. Then you're going to chain up another 2, then go into the same area, and then when you finish, you're going to add it here. Let me rewind so that you can understand. After doing this first foundation that you did, what you want to do is to create a V. What you want to do is to create a V. So that means you're going to go into that very stitch and create a V long enough to be the length of the foundation. After that, chain up 2, then go into the same V, lay it down flat. As you can see, it still has some space here. Our aim is to create V's that are wide enough to join into this work. So we're going to work again 2 more chains and then go into the same stitch. After that, what you want to do is to count 1, 2, 3, and into the third you'll create a slip knot. So what you've done is to basically fill up the slope that was created earlier. You're filling it up to create a more flat surface area, as you can see. So we're going to do another one. So this knot that you created here is going to act as 1, 2, and 3. Then you'll turn your work. After turning your work, this first V from the previous slip knot, we are going to work into it. After working into that, what you want to do is to go into the next V for the next double crochet, and then create another V. So that is chain 2. Let me lay it down flat so that you understand. We did first the slip knots, then 1 double crochet, then a V, then you're going to finish up with a double crochet. The aim is to create a flat surface, yeah, as you go, a flat surface as you go. I'm going to work the last row. So what you want to do, create a double crochet, the first one, the second one here, and now the difference will come here where you're going to create the V in between the space. So after creating that V, we're going to do one last V at the very end here. Chain 2, and then you're going to feed it into this other side. 1, 2, 3. So we leave it at that first. Chain up 1, then snip off. Then you want to come and start working on this other side. You can decide to work them separate, then stitch it up, or you can decide to continue working from here. We're just going to do slip knots, 3 rows of slip knots. Then when you get to the end, we'll be stitching it into the other end, then go into the next stitch, then go back up, that is counting as our second row. Then for the third, we continue. Then you'll do one more because we had joined here. You're going to do one more so that you end up at the top. Then we attach another yarn here. You always want to end up at the top. So continue going up. Then from there you start working. You start working on the V's. Remember, you're supposed to work at the very bottom, and then you pull up the V, chain 2. That's the first one, still has space. Chain 2, go into the very same one, then attach it to the other side of the work. You count 3, 1, 2, 3. Then you go into the next, turn your work, go into the very first V of the double crochet, then into the next you'll work up a V, then you'll do 2 double crochets at the end, then chain up. We're doing the last one. Do the first V, then the second V at the very end. Sorry. So that's how you create it. Let me show you how to finish up. First, you want to chain up 1, snip off this end. As you can see now, we have a flat surface to work into. You don't necessarily have to do this flat surface. You can just leave it as the triangle it was. But if you prefer to have a flat surface at the top, you can do this. So what you want to do is to create another slip knot. And this is just for working the borders. So we're basically just going to work slip knots all the way to the other side, and basically you can decide to work slip knots, or you can decide to do a pattern on this edge as well, but for this tutorial I'm just going to do slip knots. You can decide to work V's at this edge if you'd like, but I'm just showing you after you finish you can do the borders with a different color. It gives a nice finish. And basically that's how to create this halter top. It's very nice. You can use up your scrap yarns for this project so that you reduce waste and create something beautiful. Then when you get to the corner here, make sure you work in 3 stitches at this corner, then proceed. Let me finish, then I show you how to attach the straps. Our beautiful halter top is finished, and work up a strap that is long enough to your satisfaction. And how I like to fill it in is to find the midpoint first, feed it into my work. Hold these two ends together, pull it so that you can have them at equal lengths. Then what I like to do is to go around. As I've fed it into like this, I like to go like this. It's like you're twining it like that. So I'll take this end first and then feed it into there. Make sure you hold here so that it doesn't have a proportional length. I always find this method to keep the strap yarn more secure. It gives more security compared to when you just feed it without twining it into the work. So when I get to the end, what I like to do is to create a knot for more added security, and then leave it off like that. Then you do this other end. Now you'll go the opposite way. And basically that is just it for this tutorial. I hope you've learned something new today, and I'd like to hear from you guys. Follow me on Instagram at Donny Crochets, at TikTok at Donny Crochets, and all other social media platforms at Donny Crochets. And as usual, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as I will always try to make crochet for you simple and easy. So after doing that, you go to the back and find areas where you want to feed it into the work as well, and crisscross if you want to crisscross. If you don't want, it's also okay. And basically that's it. It created a very, I actually like this color combination. I will consider making something with these colors, and hopefully share it with you. So that's it. Thank you for watching.